Howdy, Pastor Sal here from Our Savior Lutheran Church and School in Fenton, Missouri. Well, today we continue with the symbolism that the church uses. And last week I started talking about why symbolism is important and how the four gospel writers received their symbols. And just to review, it's because Ezekiel and Revelation, they both talk about their visions, and those visions include a human, a lion, an ox or bull, and an eagle. And so the history of the church, mostly through Irenaeus, he's the one who really started pushing those symbolism for the four gospel writers. Well, today I'm going to talk about Mark, which, of course, the author of the Gospel is named after me, and it's something I truly appreciate. But really, it has more to do with how faithful my mom and dad were in the Christian church. And so, but yes, my mom named me Mark, and of course it was because of one of the Gospels. But the four gospel writers, they are kind of unique in the writings of the New Testament. They are the foundation, the cornerstone, if you will. Not that Jesus Christ is not the cornerstone, but they are the four documents that then give rise to the rest of the writings in the New Testament. They are the eyewitnesses of Jesus. Now, St. Mark's symbol is the lion. He is the lion with wings. And as we've said before, the wings through all these symbols is a proper understanding of the divine revelation, the vision from heaven that God gives. So these inspired writings are the writings that God has given to the church, so that we can count on them being true. In our symbol with St. Mark, you have the lion. And the lion is reminiscent of, this really kind of came home to me when I used to travel to Africa. And you've seen it on movies where the people are in the tents and all of a sudden in the middle of the night it's dark out and the stars you can see because there's hardly any light. And then you hear a lion roar. And it is stunning. The first time I heard that, I thought, oh my goodness, it's loud and it's real close. Well, it wasn't as close as I thought. The people who were taking us on that guided tour and some of the people who were doing some work with us in Kenya, they said, oh no, they're quite a ways away. We're safe. But that's why that guy's over there. And it was a man with a rifle to protect us through the night in case elephants or lions came through. But that distinctive roar of the lion in the dark, in the nighttime. And this is sort of what Mark's symbol is all about, where he emphasizes then the prophecies, the messages that Jesus is the Son of God, where subtly with Matthew, it was Jesus is the Son of Man and his human lineage. And how Christ then, the Son of Man, who is God, as Matthew would have put it, but in St. Mark, he's making it very clear that this is the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and he immediately points to Isaiah and quotes Isaiah. I send my messenger before you to prepare the way, a herald's voice in the desert crying. Well, a reference to John the Baptist. And so you hear this roar come out of the desert, and it's John the Baptist warning you, the Messiah is about to be here. And so the prophecy of God's Spirit coming upon the church to say, yes, Jesus is soon at hand. And it's like that voice in the dark. And Christ then eventually becomes the light that enlightens the dark. So you have that lion's roar, the prophecy coming forward. This is the Son of God. The other thing that becomes part of this is for the lion, You have the emphasis of the royalty, the kingship of Jesus, and how that part of the story comes out in St. Mark's gospel, and yet hidden in the form of a man. So the symbol for Mark, the author of Mark's gospel, is a lion with wings. And then in our symbol, you notice he's holding a book. He's holding that book. And of course, that book is about the writings of who Jesus Christ is. Now, again, I would say, generally speaking, from about year 50 to year 60 is when most of the four Gospels, or the first three Gospels were written: Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John was written much later. So that's the second symbol of the second author of the New Testament, Mark's Gospel. So I hope this is a little informative, so that we can see how the church uses symbols, how they were grabbed right from the 2nd century. Irenaeus immediately took scriptural language and said, let's use it to represent Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the four pillars of the church. And one last thing. When you go into a church that has been able to afford some incredible art that's on the walls or it's in their architecture, it's these kinds of symbols that you'll also notice, especially around the altar area. When you look up, often you will see these four symbols, one way or another. Matthew, the human winged man, the lion, and it's because the four corners, if you will, are the four New Testament Gospels. And they are always kind of like posting guard at the corners of an altar. But that's usually in a very elaborate church that has been around a long time and has been able to afford such architecture. But it's kind of interesting to notice if you ever have a chance to do that. Well, thanks for listening. Lord's blessings. And next time we will go to Luke and his symbol.